This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Want to keep your personal number private but still stay connected? With Line 2, you can get a second phone line right on your device with a super simple app and no need for another phone. Whether it's for online shopping, dating, or shielding your main number from spam, Line 2 is an easy way to manage it all. Ready for peace of mind without breaking the bank? Call, text, block, and more for only $9.99. Get started with line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in any app store today. Line 2, your second line simplified.
3:01 on a Wednesday afternoon, and good afternoon, one and all. I am Dave Sinykin, in once again for Dan Barreiro on this second day of July holiday week. Everyone's out. Well, not everyone, but the afternoon show's out, and very pleased to be sitting in the big chair for a second consecutive day, and happy to have by my side Sam for the first time. We just met moments ago. Great to meet you, my man.
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to the next 3 hours and change with you as we catch up on what's going on in the world of sports. I have put together a cavalcade of guests today to help us out for the next 3.5 hours. I'll share that with you just shortly. Won't be, I promise, for those, mostly you hockey heads who were a bit put out that it was so hoops dominant yesterday. It's not quite that bucket heavy today. We're going to spread things out just a little bit. But then, Sam, I hear you love hoops, so I'm crossing out some of my notes and I'm adding some back. So we will get into some basketball conversation. Not as newsy a day today as it was yesterday. But we'll start the show just what went down last night, kind of a power outage for our two local teams that were in action. Lynx and Twins both go down. I think anytime Red Panda falls off her unicycle, you just know it's not your night, right? It's not going to be a good thing. And I've been kind of surfing the web throughout the day to get updates. Have you seen anything on Red Panda, how she's doing?
Yeah, I have not. I just read the article that she was taken to a local hospital, but that's it. Yeah. So I hope she's doing well.
I know. I mean, we've all seen her. If you've gone to an event, I'm guessing she doesn't perform during Wild Games, right? This is probably not. So I suppose this is for basketball fans, Lynx, Wolves. You've seen Red Panda. If you've, in your life, gone to, I don't know, half a dozen games, chances are you ran into a Red Panda halftime performance where she's on her unicycle and she's balancing things, and it's as much a crowd pleaser, I think, as any halftime show you'll find. I mean, I'm a sucker for the dogs and frisbees. I'm also a sucker for, what's that thing where the gymnasts do the slam dunks where they run?
Oh, yeah. That's not halftime, though. They just do that in between some of the commercials.
So that gets my attention, too. Yep. I do enjoy that. But Red Panda is, I think she has a special place in all of our hearts because you just can't take your eyes off her when she's on the court. Last night, she takes a spill off the unicycle. From what I read, she tried to get up and then kind of collapsed. They brought a wheelchair out and got her off the court and was taken by ambulance to a local hospital. I read wrist and back was what was bothering her. Haven't seen an update. We wish her the best. But that's a bad omen. I mean, it was a bad omen moments before for the Lynx, who were sailing along. Some of the players early second quarter, probably counting their cash. Let's see. I'm going to make about $30,000 if I win the Commissioner's Cup, and figuring out how they're going to spend it. Up 13 points. 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, feeling good. And then the bottom drops out, and the Fever score 18 straight, and none of them by Caitlin Clark, who was in street clothes. And suddenly the game is in jeopardy, and indeed the Lynx fall completely flat from that point on. Their worst performance of the season by far. They shot a season-low 35%. I mean, 59 points they scored. 59. I'm old enough to remember the last game when they scored 90-something. Shot 35% for the game. Now, the good news is it doesn't count in the standings. They are still 14-2. They have 3 home games in the next 4 nights. They're going to pad that resume. They're going to get back off the floor. Nafisa will play better. Everyone around her will play better. And we'll all forget about it except the Lynx players who lost about $20,000 each in losing the Commissioner's Cup. They had a chance to win back-to-back for the first time in the history of the Commissioner's Cup. Didn't happen, and they fall without the services of Caitlin Clark against them. So a rough night for both Red Panda and the Lynx, and for the Twins down in Miami, not much better, as you know. Second consecutive shutout, third loss in a row. They managed just 2 hits. And for the second complete game, they did not manage a base runner to third base. There has to be some kind of record, like how many innings a team goes without reaching third base. This is 2 consecutive games, 18 innings, where a Twin batter did not reach third. In fact, when I was doing the show yesterday and the game started at 5:40 and kind of watched it on my phone, happened to catch Royce Lewis's double down the line in his first at bat. Third inning, he's on second with 1 out and gets stranded there. And that's as far as any Twins base runner got. And that was the only moment of positivity. Royce is back finally after 3 weeks. First at bat, stripes one down the left field line. And that was 1/2 of the Twins' hit total of the night. Just 2 for the night, wasting another really strong effort from Joe Ryan. 5 hits over 7 innings, 1 run. But the Twins offense can do absolutely nothing. They're back at it tonight, or this afternoon, I guess, at 5:40. And Twins news in the last hour or so that Bailey Ober has been placed on the 15-day injured list with left hip impingement, retroactive to June 29th. He's been just, really struggling. His last, 7 starts, I believe, has looked nothing like the Bailey Ober that started the season. And it was kind of mysterious what's going on. They weren't talking injury, but apparently the hip is bugging him. That's what's going to shelve him for a while. So the already banged up, thin starting rotation takes another hit for your Minnesota Twins. We'll talk more about that squad later in the show when Lavelle E. Neal III joins. So let me give you the lineup today. First, let me tell you what's on the Fan tonight. Following our show today, we have soccer. Sam, are you a soccer guy at all?
I don't. I mean, I'm not a soccer guy, but
You're
I
not
don't
anti-soccer.
That's right, but I don't keep up with it.
Not your jam.
Not my jam.
Not my jam either. Back to Lavelle. I know it's his jam, so I'll get his thoughts on the game tonight. It's the U.S. women's national team against Canada, 7 o'clock on this very station, the flagship, 100.3 FM, The Fan. It's the top-seeded U.S. against the 8th-seeded Canadians, last of 3 matches. They call it a friendly in the business. I don't know how friendly they are once they start playing, but it sounds so pleasant, like they're all just going to hold hands. I don't think that's the meaning, but that's what they're doing tonight at 7 out in D.C. We'll carry that. I'm guessing Lavelle will give us more details on what this means and how important it is as the women's team continues to play very well. All right, so that's on the Fan following this program. Here's the guest lineup. I added one late. I had 3 guests lined up, and then I saw some wild news and some NHL Olympics news, and I thought, let's just see if I could somehow, some way, get Pat Micheletti to come on the radio. It's tough. You have to twist his arm, big time. He's so shy, but he was kind enough to agree. So here's the deal. Bottom of the hour, 3:30, Mike Mussman, is going to join in studio, which, again, what a sacrifice. He has to walk 8 feet from his studio to come into mine. This all came out of yesterday's pre-show. As I was walking to the studio yesterday, ran into Muss, caught up. How are the kids? How's the summer? And then he throws out at me, so do we have the 2 worst quarterbacks in the division? Which one's worse? And he got me going. I didn't put hands on him, but he got me going. And I said, it's going to be like that. Okay. All right. So we start trading barbs back and forth. It's July. It's the absolute deadest time of the NFL season. So why not talk some NFL? I feel like he and I have never really done a on-air border battle per se, but I'm guessing he's bullish about his favorite team. I'm certainly bullish about my favorite team. So I'll alienate everybody for a segment. I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I'm used to it. We'll each stand up for our teams. We'll talk a little smack at 3:30. A little football talk with Muss, of course, the host of the Vikings NFL Sunday show on this station. Top of the hour, 4 o'clock, that's when Mick joins us, Pat Micheletti on the Wild, who added 6 more players via free agency. No one that's going to get you, to go buy your Wild tickets, to get all excited, I don't believe. Familiar face in Tyler Pitlick, the kid who went to Centennial, who's been around a while. and played in the AHL last year. But they added 6 guys after picking up Nico Sturm yesterday. So I want to get mixed thoughts on what the Wild have done and any significant signings in the NHL that he might think moves the needle just a little bit. And also get his thoughts on the news today that the NHL players are back in the Olympics after a 10-year hiatus. The league has given players approval to return to international play, and I have to think the wild success of the Four Nations face-off has got the league leaders to believe that, hey, we need to get our best players in the Olympics again, because it just, people go nuts. And the players go nuts playing for their countries. So we're going to have NHL players back in the Olympics next February when the Winter Olympics roll along, and I'll get mixed thoughts on that as well. 4:30, our good friend of the program, friend of the station, John Krasinski, will join on his thoughts on the Wolves' early start to the offseason, the big news in the NBA over the last few days, what has really struck him as far as player movement. And I guess the biggest news today from that league is it looks like the New York Knicks have settled on a new coach. I'd love to tune into New York Sports Talk Radio today, wouldn't you? I mean, as crazy a fan base, obviously, Knicks fans, and they let Tibbs go, and there's all kinds of, they're trying to hire away other teams' head coaches. Can we meet with Jason Kidd? How about Chris Finch? Right? And they've settled on Mike Brown, who I actually like probably more than most people do. I think he's a pretty good coach, and he's had success. Cleveland, L.A., even Sacramento, they didn't give him much of a chance. But when you Google retread coaches, his picture does come up. It's up near the top.
He's got to be at the top.
Yeah, and Knicks fans have to be very underwhelmed, don't you think, by that hire?
Oh, absolutely.
Wolves fans are happy. Mike Inori, who was a finalist, he was one of the 3 guys given a second interview, apparently is not the choice. I'm sorry for Micah. He's a great guy. He deserves a chance, and I think he'll get a chance. But I wouldn't wish the Knicks job on him or any coach getting his first start as a head coach in the NBA. The clock's ticking as soon as you take the job, and the pressure from the crazy owner to a wild fan base, it's hard to win there. So I'll get Johnny's thoughts on that. Sam has homework. He's going to put a top 5 at 5 together for us. We'll do that at 5 o'clock. And then at 5:30, Lavelle, as I mentioned, Neil, the third, joins on Twins, on soccer, on Bears and Packers, on NBA, whatever we feel like. For as long as he wants to be with me, we'll have Lavelle in, at least for that segment at 5:30. That'll take us all the way through to 6:25 when we get out of here. And I want to throw one little nugget out right now and encourage your texts on your thoughts on this, and we'll read them and sort of weave them through the program. Just sort of occurred. This could be kind of a fun thing to think about. If you could steal, I'm putting you, the listener, I'm giving you the job as GM of the Vikings for the next 3.5 hours. If you could steal one player from another team and plop him on the Vikings, and you give nothing up, it's just highway robbery. It's like, we want this guy. He wants to play for us. We're going to take him, and you get nothing. Well, we'll throw you a conditional 7th that turns into a 6th if he starts at least 10 games, okay? Something like that. Who would it be? Is it just the obvious, I'm going to grab a quarterback because I don't know about my quarterback? Or do you believe in your quarterback, but Patrick Surtain would be nice, safety would be nice, middle linebacker would be nice, a big run-stuffing DL, nose tackle would be nice. So tell me who you would pick. Who would you grab from another team and plop on the Vikings if you could? Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line 64686. I'll probably should have done this already. I'll think about who I would pick for my favorite squad as well. But just want to throw that out, and we'll kind of touch on that from time to time, see if that becomes kind of a nice little running bit for the rest of the show. So let's pause here. First pause of the day. We're just getting rolling. Lots of guests throughout the day. It's Sam. It's me, Sinykin in for Barreiro. Lots more to come on a sunny July afternoon on The Fan.
And while you're thinking about who you would want on your team, let's give away some cash. The Fan and BigDeck.com wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword pay at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword pay. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
3:20 on a Wednesday afternoon. Dave Sinykin in for Dan Barreiro today. He's out. Guardsy's out. Blakemore's out. So you get the second team. I don't know. Might be the third team. I don't know. It's Sinykin. It's Sam. And we're with you for the next 3 hours and change. Bottom of the hour, Muss joins the program in studio, talk some football with me, which I'm very much looking forward to. Very cool to see the superstar Mike Morris on my way into the studio. He looks the same, oddly, and I don't think I've seen this guy since, I don't know, when did he leave? 08, 09? It's been a long time. Great to see him. That hour with Common, if you missed it, I'm sure by now Tennessee has it podcastable, downloadable. That was great. Really good to see him. Glad to hear him on our airwaves again. So do check that out if you missed it. Speaking of football, which the superstar played occasionally as a long snapper, 3, 4, 5, 6 snaps a game. He made a nice career out of it and had some great stories to tell. We will talk football now for a bit. I threw out a little sports talker we like to do before the break. If you could plop one player from around the league onto the Vikings, it cost you nothing, who would it be? Got a lot of submissions, so I appreciate that, listeners, over the break. We'll go through some of those. I thought about who I would pick for my favorite team, and the obvious answer is a wide receiver, right? Like JJ or Jamar Chase, something like that. But I went pass rusher for the Packers. Give me Myles Garrett, or I don't know, give me TJ Watt. He's looking for a new place to play potentially. Wants a new deal. Pittsburgh is not sure they want to pay him. Remember, the Packers passed on him in that draft and took cornerback Kevin King, much to the chagrin of Packer Nation, because TJ, of course, is a native of Pewaukee, Wisconsin, Badger guy, and fans were just furious. But here's your chance to get him back. Plop him on the pack. That, to me, is the biggest need, is a sure pass rusher. You guys, you're kind of all over the map, which I appreciate, because I said the easy answer is, oh, give me Lamar, give me Patrick Mahomes, which we do have both of those suggestions, and I get it. Disc and Dog guy wrote super obvious, but I'll go Mahomes. We have a Josh Allen. Where is my Lamar? Here, Tyler from Fancato. Lamar Jackson and we win the Super Bowl, guaranteed. Just imagine that offense combined with the bolstered defense, unstoppable. That's the obvious answer, is quarterback of your choice. You could pick one of 5 and feel really good about the purple. But I was looking for something that might be just not quite so obvious, and we did get some. General Soreness texts in at the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line, 64686. He would take middle linebacker Fred Warner off the 49ers, put him on the Vikes. I didn't think about that other component, like, you're taking a guy, you're also causing that team to lose a guy. And that might factor into your choice if, like we have a couple Eagles submissions here. One wants Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean all day. He's going to be a lockdown corner for a while. That's an interesting choice to take a second-round pick from a year ago, a Super Bowl hero, a player that we're all really familiar with, but really, that's the guy? You're going to take a cornerback, that's the cornerback? I could probably give you 10, but I appreciate you going off the board a little bit. There's always going to be that hometown feel. Antoine Winfield Jr., one listener has nominated. That's a position of need, in my opinion. I think safety's a bit up in the air. Certainly Harrison Smith's back, but at some point, either he drops off or he finally retires. And adding Antoine Winfield, one of the top safeties in the game, I get that. Saquon Barkley to the Vikings. The Vikings have nothing like him. He's one of 2 running backs that got thrown out there. I found that a little interesting. I'm an Aaron Jones fan. I always loved him on the green and gold, and I think the Jordan Mason edition for the purple. Sam, are you a Viking fan? I didn't even ask you this as we had our quick 45-second production meeting.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a Vikings fan.
At some point, they're going to make you smile at the end of the year. Just hang in there. You're young enough. You haven't lived through all the heartbreak.
I haven't lived through all the heartbreak, but I've lived through some of the big ones.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm sure you do remember 98. Maybe 98, not real well, but
09. I think 09 was probably the worst, because that team, especially if you go back and watch some of those old games, I mean, that team should have won the Super Bowl that year. They should not have lost to New Orleans.
That was the hardest season I've ever had to watch football, watching Brett Favre in a purple jersey. And as hard as it was all season, which it was, right? I mean, facing the prospect of Viking fans saying to me from then till the end of time, Brett Favre won as many Super Bowls for us as he did for you. I couldn't. I don't know if I could have lived through that. That would have been very difficult for me. But how it ended. For you, it was heartbreak. For me, I'm in a bar in Appleton, Wisconsin with a client watching the game. Bar's packed. There are two guys sitting at the bar with purple 4 jerseys. I mean, that takes some guts right there, right?
Absolutely.
And they're crowing throughout the game. They are on top of the world. They are in the place they want to be. They are in the den of iniquity. They are in a place where no one wants to see them, and their guy and their team is about to head to the Super Bowl. And then we all know how it ended. And, they couldn't get out of that room fast enough. We didn't even get a chance to kind of have our little ha-ha. Yeah. They were gone.
So I have a funny story. I can copy and paste that exact story, put myself in that situation. Me and a buddy of mine went to the Vikings and Steelers game that year in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
And the team at that point was 6-0 or 7-0. And they were marching down the field. They were up. And then Favre fumbles. It gets returned for a touchdown. The stadium goes crazy. 2 of us were jawing the whole game, and then we just had to kind of sit there in silence the rest of the time. So, yeah, I've been there.
You had your moments, though. You can never take those few moments away in the second and third quarter. You had some fun. That's a bucket list stadium for me. I've always wanted to see a game at Pittsburgh. Was it awesome?
It was amazing. That's one of my favorite places to watch football.
I mean, I would love to try to go this year. Green Bay's in Pittsburgh, but imagine what that ticket's going to cost, right?
That's right.
Sunday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers against the Packers. A lot of rumors during the offseason that Green Bay might go and play that game in London against Pittsburgh. But I think as the reality became closer that they might actually get Rodgers, there's no way Pittsburgh wants that game in Dublin, right? No. That's going to be, I don't know if it's the game of the season. The Eagles, the fan has learned, won the Super Bowl, and they've got some great matchups, but that one is going to be something special. I think tickets are going to be a bit out of my price range.
Maybe not game of the season, but definitely a storyline of the season for sure.
For sure. I mean, Sunday Night Football, those ratings are going to be insane. So I'm very much looking forward to that. The other interesting name that came in, what player would you want to plop on the Vikes? Cost you nothing. Jahmyr Gibbs. And we had Barkley. So you have 2 guys at the running back position. And again, I think I was about to say, I love Aaron Jones. I like Jordan Mason. I thought that was a really sneaky, nice pickup. And I would not at all be surprised if Jordan Mason leads the Vikings in rushing this season. I mean, he showed filling in for Christian McCaffrey that running game didn't miss too many beats with him getting a chance. And he got banged up late, and that was sort of a lost season for the 49ers. But I think the Vikes are okay at running back. I don't think I would plop, unless you're going with, well, if we take Gibbs and Barkley off those 2 teams, we've weakened a couple of NFC contenders that we're up against. So I would get that. But I appreciate you all playing along with that one. For Green Bay, for me, it's a pass rusher, because that's the biggest question mark, I think, for Green Bay in 2025. We're going to talk more football. We're going to talk some smack, little border battle chatter, because it appears that Muss is really down on my favorite team, and I want to find out why, what has him so bullish about his squad. I did check the odds for the NFC North before I started the show today, because it fluctuates, it changes as it sits right now. And I kind of did they're all fairly close. If you go to the different sports books, this is DraftKings, which seemed to be about in line with most that I saw. The Lions are plus 140 to win the North. Green Bay is plus 260. The Vikes are plus 400, and the Bears plus 425. So, clearly, Minnesota is perceived closer to 4th than 2nd, but I don't think Muss sees it that way. So let's see what he's got to throw at me. A little border battle when we come back. Mike Mussman, host of Vikings NFL Sunday, and, of course, longtime host over at K102. He joins in studio for some July border battle. That's next on The Fan. right, we're back. 3:36 on a Wednesday afternoon. Sinykin in for Barreiro on a Wednesday on 4th of July week. We're getting closer and closer. For some, I would think the holiday begins, tomorrow, right? Like Muss, by the way, in studio. Muss, nice to see you.
Sinny, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Great to share some time with you. Thanks for sitting in.
I have to ask you this. So, Dave, how long have you been on KFAN?
I look that old, don't I?
No. It goes back to the AM 1130 days.
Yeah,
I go back that far.
Christmas Eve '94 was the first time I was on the air.
Really?
Yeah.
94.
Yeah.
I heard you were on the. I can't remember. I can't remember what day it was, but someone was talking about how awesome and sexy your voice is. And I was like,
did you get her number?
No. They were texting in here at KFAN, and I was like, God, he already has the bedroom eyes, and also that sexy voice since 1994.
I've been married for 22 years. My wife has never told me I have a sexy voice. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Yeah, I had just moved from Chicago 2 months prior, and had been in radio and TV in a previous life before moving to Chicago, and I just dropped in on the fan one day and said, I used to be in sports radio, in Milwaukee, would love to do something. They had me write a 60-second sports update, which they used to do back then, top of the hour deals. And they thought it sounded good. And then it was like the holidays and people were taking off.
Everybody was gone.
They're like, wait.
Kind of like this week.
Yes. I mean, not only are you the new guy, but you're a Jewish guy. So you can work on Christmas. Love to have you. So yeah, that was the debut, and then just so the way the story goes is, a few months later, I started thinking it'd be fun to have my own show, and I went to. Now I'm thinking, so Mark Ginther was the program director.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Mark was the guy who insisted that I won't work at KFAN.
Is that right?
That's how I got the job at K102.
He wouldn't let you work at the fan.
He's like, no, you're terrible. We'll have you go over to K102. Yeah.
And he's like some big TV guy now, out west, I think.
Big
somewhere.
deal, yeah.
So I don't remember now if it was him or Pops, because it was 95, and Ginther may have been gone already, or...
Well, no, we would have been in Bloomington at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had when I first did my little audition, we were on Frontenac, and then quickly moved to Bloomington.
Yep.
And so I pitched a Packers show in 95 and said, hey, I hear all these guys calling, wanting to talk Packers. And either Ginther, I should remember this, but I don't. Either Ginther or Pop said, we are the Viking station. Right. We're not doing a Packers show. But, we got a couple hours on Sunday mornings if you're interested in doing something. And I had just met Trent via common friends at a party. And Trent had mentioned that he'd love to get into broadcasting. And now, odd as it was, this is 95. 2 years earlier, I'm in Chicago. And my girlfriend at the time had Bulls season tickets, went to every game that season. And Trent was on that team. And they won a championship.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm like watching Trent that entire season. 2 years later, we get green lighted to do In the Zone. Started on Sundays back then, the year they drafted Kevin Garnett. And then a year later, CCO got the Vikings in 96.
Yes, yeah.
And so I went back to the program to, what are you going to tell me now? Not the Viking station anymore.
We got some avails here.
Yeah, so they gave me the Sunday morning Packer preview show, and the Pack won the Super Bowl that first year, and now we're in season 30. This year of Packer preview, correct?
That is awesome.
So yeah, it goes back just a little bit.
Yeah, because in '93 I was an intern here at K102 and KFAN.
I'm substantially older than you are, clearly.
Yeah. And then been here since '98.
How about that?
I'm going into my 17th year for the Vikings Radio Network.
Is that right?
Yeah, this will be the 17th
amazing
season. Yeah.
What a fun bit for you to get to cross over from your love of country to the fan where you wanted to start it all back in the day.
Right. Well, and it's all because of Jared Allen. Jared Allen is the reason for this.
I do not know this story.
So 2009 was my first year doing Vikings.
That was a fun
Sunday.
year. We were just talking about 09.
Yeah. So
I didn't enjoy it much.
08, Jared comes here to the Vikings, and he was a huge, and still is, a huge country fan. And
doesn't surprise me at all.
So I end up meeting him on one of the tour buses that we were at a festival. It was the third tour bus that we were on, and I had not even said a word to him because I knew who he was, and I was
You're not going to be that guy.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then we were sitting on a tour bus, and then Keith Anderson was the artist, and he went back and he's like, "Oh, I got to go put my stage shirt on," and he goes in the back of the bus, and then that's when Jared leans over to me and he goes, "You know what? You are a tremendous J.A." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You haven't once introduced yourself or said hi or anything." And I'm like, "I know who you are. I'm just letting you have your fun." And he goes, I know who you are. And I used to listen to your morning show, and I'm not going to listen to it anymore. And so the two of us were just going back and forth, just ripping each other.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and that's how we, that introduction. And so it culminates, which I'm super pumped because coming up at the end of this month and into early August, I'm going to Canton, and I'm going to go and for his enshrinement. Yeah.
Maybe he'll let you speak. Who knows? Maybe he'll decide.
I doubt that.
No.
But that's how the Jared
that?
Allen show started, and that's how Vikings country became a thing.
That's amazing.
All because of Jared Allen. And still to this day, when I go, so it'll happen this year, when I'm going to go do my first Vikings country, I will text him or I will call him, and I'll go, guess where I'm going? And he thinks it's the funniest thing ever. He's like, it's the best practical joke I've ever played on a friend. I made you do the show, and then I left the show, and you're still doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I always envisioned him wearing a big old cowboy hat on that show in my head when I would sometimes listen or just stumble upon it. It was not destination radio for me, as I'm sure you'll understand.
Yeah.
But I heard it quite a bit, and I always envisioned him just looking country.
He is everything that you would imagine that he is. The cowboy hat wasn't that. I mean, the mullet was full in effect.
Yes.
Or moulet, because he said it was French. No, he is just the funniest dude, just the nicest human being. He and his wife, Amy, I absolutely love those people.
I'm so glad you get to go celebrate with them and
and
get
it's
to.
a bucket list, too.
Have you never been?
I've never been to Canton. Have you been?
As a kid.
Yeah.
We did in 1976, again, going back a bit.
Yeah.
We did this bicentennial year. So Dad decided we're going to load up the family truckster and do we stopped in like Battle Creek, Michigan to see the cereal plants because General Mills wasn't on the way. We were going east. So we did that. And
Liberty Bell.
We did. We did the Liberty Bell. We did Canton, Ohio. We did Springfield, Mass for the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Oh, for sure.
And there might have been a couple other stops, but Philly, the 2 Hall of Fames, and cereal. Those were the 4 that have stuck with me 50 or so years later. But that was a great trip. That was back when my dad was so excited to go to AAA and get the triptych. Do you remember triptychs?
No.
They were like long little notebooks that you tell them what your trip is.
Yeah.
And they map it out on the spiral notebook. And you could follow along. It tells you your map. You're on 94 East. And so instead of obviously GPS, you would take this little notebook and you'd follow
the crazy foldable things that you're
exactly.
trying to put together, maps.
You're trying to drive and you get this giant map you're trying to unfold. Exactly. This you could hold in your hand. And I remember as a 14-year-old kid having so much fun, just like turning the page. And now we're following our little green line telling us what highway we're supposed to be on.
That's
and
cool.
that was a fun family trip back in the day. Why are you dancing around our border battle? You're afraid.
What are you talking? I'm not dancing around
guessing
at all.
you're a little
it's
afraid.
July. What are we talking about here?
First off, a couple texts have come in for you.
Okay.
This from KFAN.
Oh, no. I don't want to hear it.
For Muss. Can you ask Muss what he does with all the time he saves not practicing for program password? Thanks.
Worst partner ever.
You or him?
No. Fallness is terrible at it.
Yeah, is he?
Oh, he's horrendous. This is the thing. Program password, I either get teamed up with Common.
Yep.
Which, ironically, we have nothing in common.
Yep.
And then I get with Fallness. So, yeah, there's no chance.
No, you're up against it for sure. I've only played twice. I won with Common, first time.
Yeah.
Retired, undefeated.
Just walked away.
But was asked back. And the day I came back, I was paired with PA.
Oh, that's a tough one.
But it was like, whatchamacallit? Your linebacker.
Pete Bursich?
No. Oh, God. Greenway.
Oh, yeah, Chad.
It was Greenway. I mean, it was such an obvious pairing of PA and Greenway. But for some reason, they broke them up and they paired me with PA, and we had a huge lead, got a little cocky, started to get behind, and I don't remember the word, but I had an easy clue for PA.
Yeah.
It was the perfect word, and I was already counting my money. He didn't get it. It just didn't hit him, and we lost. And so now I'm 1-1, and I've not come back.
Isn't that the worst when you actually know the word and you just look at a friend of yours?
Yeah.
Because Kevin and I love Kevin. He's awesome. We go golf together every once in a while. I love the dude. But you're just looking at him and you're going, you are the biggest dumbass on the planet right now.
It's tricky. It's live radio, and, sometimes things just don't hit you. By the way, Jerry from Blue Earth says, hey, Muss, having garage beers, got off work early today.
Oh, beauty.
Because, as I was saying, for some, the holiday starts after work today. A lot of people do have tomorrow off.
Yeah.
I certainly feel for those of you that have to work tomorrow, obviously. But many do see this 4-day weekend upon us, and we're getting closer and closer.
I've hardly been trying it all this week, so yeah.
Well, that doesn't really. How is this week different from any other, right? This is par for the course all these years later. All right, I told the story at the top of the show. We ran into each other yesterday before I started, and you were trash talking me. Do we have the 2 worst quarterbacks in the division? Who was worse? I thought it was a bit. Clearly, it was not a bit from your standpoint. So,
okay, Davey, here's the thing.
Okay,
I love. I mean, rom-coms are some of my favorite movies.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh, Meg
When
Ryan,
Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Put Meg Ryan in a movie at that age, and I'm in. Yep.
Sandra Bullock.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe Jennifer Aniston back in the day.
I just can't fall in love with Jordan Love.
Okay.
I don't see what I don't see what you guys anticipate it should be, right? You know, because you just did have, 3 decades? Was it 3 or 4 decades?
It was 3 decades.
3 decades of Hall of Fame quarterbacking.
Yep.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
I love it.
4.5 sounds even better.
But no, he's not that guy. And the thing about Jordan Love, in my opinion, is that we don't know his identity. I don't think he knows his identity. He tried to do the whole, I'm Aaron Rodgers and I can throw off my back foot and just flip the ball. And no, that's not you. Okay, I'm athletic and I can actually move the ball around and I can run. But nah, you're not that either. What is his identity? I just don't know exactly what that is. Now, all that being said, when we're talking about our quarterbacks, we have no idea what J.J. McCarthy is going to be like. We have none.
He's never played.
That's
fair.
We hear all of the things that are great things. We're hearing it from KOC, the quarterback whisperer, and everything like that. But we have no idea. He is absolutely the piece of the puzzle where the Vikings have done so much with their interior, offensive line, defensive line, on paper, in the offseason. That's the one thing you're like, we got a 2-headed monster in the backfield. You got Justin Jefferson, Addison when he gets to play again. You have the weapons there.
Got a tight end you like.
And a tight end we like. We just like to have him be on the field a little bit more.
Understood. Well, I'll get back. I have a question about for JJ. We'll get to in a minute. Let me give you my little defense of number 10.
Yeah, sorry.
Because no, it's all good. So obviously we saw how his first season as a starter ended. The last half of the season, he got better and better. Took the youngest team in football down to Dallas, blew out the Cowboys in the playoffs, took them to San Francisco.
Dallas.
And, Dallas had not lost a game at home all season. They were pretty much a juggernaut that season. I understand McCarthy was their coach. Insert punchline here. I get all that. But then he goes to San Francisco against a team that was big-time favored, and he had the ball at the end of the game with a chance to win the game. And, yes, he threw a pick, and the game ended, and they lost. It brought folks very excited about what he might do as a follow-up. Last season, he didn't take that jump that many thought he would for a number of reasons, and I'm not going to make excuses, but the guy got banged up on that turf in Brazil in the game at the end of the Eagles game and was out for a while and was never clearly 100%, but he was still directing the youngest team in football with no pass catchers that had been in the league for more than 2 seasons that led the league in drop percentage last year. And yet, when you take all that away and look at the stats at the end of the season, and you look at the rankings for quarterbacks using QBR, which I think many believe is the fairest way to judge a quarterback, because it takes into account, if JJ were to throw a little 2-yard pass to the other JJ and he goes 90 yards for a touchdown, that's huge stats for your quarterback, but he didn't do anything. He dumped one off. Sure. So it takes all that kind of stuff into account.
Takes yak out of it?
Yes. So your top 5 quarterbacks last year in order for QBR in the league were Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love. Love was 5th in QBR in the season where he was hurt, where he had the youngest team, where his receivers were dropping passes. Just for your edification, after Love, it was Goff, Purdy, Mahomes, Murray, and Hurts. Your guy, Sam, was 14th. So top 5 QBR his second year. Now, they had a first-round receiver this year. They still have young receivers, but they're all a year older. They are not
is your best, yeah.
They're not a pass-first team. They're going to rely on Josh Jacobs, so he's not going to be the top fantasy guy. But this is the year I do expect a leap, and I'm not going to make excuses. Third year was the year Rodgers won a Super Bowl, his third year as a starter. I'm not saying that that's going to happen now, but I do expect Jordan Love, healthy, better understanding of the offense, now has a speed guy in Matthew Golden that they're kind of excited about, and a really good running game, and an offensive line that you dissed again yesterday. Like, he doesn't have a line in front of him. Again, I looked it up because I thought to myself after we talked, am I just maybe for the first time in my life wearing green and gold sunglasses? But no, they were the sixth ranked offensive line last season. And the only guy they lost was their center, Josh Myers, who they let go. And they moved Elton Jenkins from left guard to center. And the first round pick from a year ago, who didn't play because he was hurt, will likely step into the starting lineup. So the offensive line's just fine. I know you like your tackles and you're excited about your 40-something Indianapolis Colts that have joined the party, and you feel good about your line. But
everybody we picked up has an injury that they're coming off of.
There's a reason they were free agents and let go by the... No, I actually do like what the Vikings did in addressing the trenches. I do. I get that. But I just wanted to set the record straight. There is a reason why Green Bay is the second pick in the NFC North as far as the odds go right now. And I'm of the opinion the Lions...
How many leads did they have last year?
The
Packers, yeah. Were they leading in games? I mean, because a lot of those stats can be picked up on the fact that, well, you got to try to get back into the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that. Yeah. I do know that, we always talk about offense, but I'm really excited about Green Bay's defense because that was a first-year coordinator in Jeff Hafley who didn't have all the pieces he wanted and was teaching everybody his system. And I expect the defense to be even better with our young linebacker, Edger and Cooper, who's kind of the flavor of the day for our defense. But here's why I think both of our teams should be a bit excited. I don't think the Lions win the North this year.
Nope.
They lost their coordinators. And have you seen the road schedule this year?
Oh.
I've never seen anything like this before. Check this out. The Lions on the road, besides the 3 North games, which are always tough.
Yep.
They have to go to Philly, Washington, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Kansas City, and the Rams.
Yikes.
And none of those games are indoors except here. Typically the Lions have all these indoor games where Goff is always so much better. They only have one indoor road game this year. They got cold weather games against good teams. The North is wide open for one of our squads this year.
I think so, too, especially because when you look at the Lions and with Goff, as you mentioned, he played pretty well when he had KOC in his ear or had, McVay in his ear.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson was definitely a huge, huge deal for him. Without Ben Johnson and, trying to figure out what is this offense is going to be like and let's see where he is now. That's going to be
I
interesting.
agree. That's huge.
And I also think that there's a step down. I think they had their window. That we've all watched teams where it's like, man, this should be this 2-year window. And I think they're on the backside of it for the Lions. I think the Bears are just, I don't believe in them at all. It's really tight.
Well, they got new coaches, so you just don't know. It might take them a while to figure things out, too.
Right. And it's like what we always say about the Lions. You are the Lions until you're not the Lions. Now, the Bears are the Bears until they're not the Bears,
exactly.
Right? At this point, and I really do believe that with everything, if you have a guy like KOC who can, and that coaching staff, they can get a guy like Sam Darnold to have an absolute career year. Now, and I get at the end, Sam became Sam again.
It ended poorly.
Yeah. He was what he was at the Jets.
Clock struck midnight a bit too early.
Right.
Yes.
But if he can get and even Kirk Cousins to play that well, J.J. McCarthy has a great spot where he's in right now with this coaching staff
couldn't be better.
His team.
Right, for a young this is the absolute perfect spot. Perfect opportunity, but pressure, a lot of pressure, expectations for a guy. And by all accounts, Jim Harbaugh will talk all day about how he's ready for this.
Yeah. But between the years is going to be the biggest thing for JJ, just because he's technically a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't had a snap in a regular season game. But it could also look a lot like his last year at Michigan, where he didn't have to throw the ball deep. He didn't have to be the playmaker because he got a running game and that offensive line. If it is what we're hoping for, maybe, just maybe, this might be a really good spot for J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
There were 4 quarterbacks, 5 drafted last year, right? Ahead of J.J. Penix started late, only played 5 games. I'm throwing him out. Of the 4 guys, I'm going to quickly read you their stats from last year. Where do you think J.J.'s stats this year would fall among the 4 rookies from last year?
Gotcha.
Jaden Daniels was the superstar, 3,600 yards, 69%, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks, 100.1 passer rating. Next up, you have Bo Nix, almost 3,800 yards, 66%, 29 touchdowns, 12 picks, 93 passer rating.
Slow start, but then really picked it up,
Figured it out with your guy, Peyton. Drake May only threw for 2276, but he had an 88.1 passer rating, 15 touchdowns, 10 picks, 66%.
Maybe
and Caleb Williams.
Ever,
Correct. I mean, he had everything going against him.
Yeah.
No line, no receivers that would start anywhere else, but he looks like he's the real deal. And then Caleb Williams threw for 3,500, 62.5%, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks, and an 87.8 passer rating. Where would you slot, in your mind, where do you think J.J. McCarthy's line this year would slot in with those guys' stats from last year?
I'm going to say the fact that our defense is so incredibly crazy. And I
crazy good, are you saying?
Crazy good.
Do you have any cornerbacks that are going to be worth playing?
I don't think they need to have cornerbacks be that good. I think they have the front 7 that's going to be enough. The pressure is going to be there.
Okay.
I don't think you need to have as much. And then plus, you have the 3 safeties that are fantastic.
One is 60 years old.
Harrison Smith, you wouldn't
is he still in his 50s?
You wouldn't take Harrison Smith on your team?
No, of course I would.
Of course,
he wouldn't start, but he'd be a great third safety behind Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams. It's nice to have that third guy.
You put him on punt chart. Team, okay?
Yeah, a little special teams work. We got to pace him. He's getting old. No, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, you're going to go back to Canton in 7 years for him.
Right. So I really do believe that this will be much more of a low-scoring team than it has been in the first 3 years of KOC. I really do. I think that the defense is going to be more of the focus, and I think that the offense is going to be taking time off the clock. TOP is definitely going to make a difference. I think they're going to stick with the running game, which has not been something that KOC has.
And I said this earlier. I like the Jordan Mason addition.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to be the top running back for this team by the time the year's over. There's a really good
chance of it, yeah.
Yep.
He's good. I totally agree with that. I think that they're going to stick with the running game, and I think that that's actually also going to not have. So he's, what you're asking me about with J.J. McCarthy, I'm going to say he probably doesn't touch the 4,000 yards. I think he's probably going to be the solid in that.
Bo Nixie,
yeah, that 35, right around in there.
66%. He threw 29 touchdowns, 12 picks, 93.3 passer rating. That would be a playoff team. That would be a team.
I know. Yes. I think he's probably right around a touchdown versus interception. I'm going to say that he's probably sitting in between that 20-25 range in there.
That's a lot of picks. Must be nice.
and the picks I think are going to be right around your Jordan Love, who gets 11 almost every season.
I can live with 11. I can live with 11. I'd like less. I'm used to less with Rodgers. It's kind of culture shock. Wait, you can throw double-digit picks in the season? I didn't know that was legal. I could talk all day. It's 4:00. I have to fly.
Yes.
What is your today, July 2nd, prediction for your squad? How many wins do you think this squad's got?
Okay, you're gonna put me on record.
Well, I think I have to. I mean, again, it's July 3rd. Or no, 2nd. You're allowed to change your mind between now and training camp. But as we sit here today, what is a successful season?
You mentioned earlier the schedule for, I can't remember what.
Detroit.
Yeah. If you look at our schedule, holy crap.
It's virtually the same as the Pack, really.
It's super, super tough.
Yeah.
And then you get the 2 weeks back to back where you're playing at 8:30 in the morning, and that means that Vikings football Sunday starts at 6:30 in the morning. Good for me.
Are you heading overseas?
No.
No?
I don't travel with the team. I got to stay married. But 10 is going to be the max, I think, for it. And I fear that might not be enough in the NFC North.
All right, that's much more reasonable than I expected to hear from you.
Yeah.
I think that's about right. 10-7, first-year quarterback. Yes, could it be better? Of course.
Yep.
But you just don't know first year. He's got a lot to learn.
Well, you look at that first year with KOC, we just got with the 13 wins that first year, it was we ran into teams when they were injured. And it was like the greatest possible time to run into those teams.
Yeah.
Year 2, we were the injured team, and it didn't go that well. Mm-hmm. And then last year, it was just like, oh, man, we might actually have something here with he and Flo. I don't know, man. I think 10 is probably the spot.
I think that's fair. 12 for the Pack, 10 for the Vikes. That feels about right to me. Green Bay has to play better in the division. Obviously, they almost went 0 for 6.
Yeah.
That's where it has to change. I can't wait for football season. I can't wait to do this again with you.
Anytime,
I could talk all day. It's great to see you. Have a fantastic
those
fourth.
bedroom eyes and that sweet, sexy voice.
I mean, how could I not want you here with those kind of...
you sexy son of a bitch.
You're the best. All right, I got to go. It's starting to heat up in here. Have a good fourth, Muss. We're a bit late. Pat Micheletti joins next to talk some NHL talk. He's next on The Fan.